We got to lean in again. The war on black women's weight has caused quite the stir here recently. And I did a video last week having a little conversation with the ladies, our African American women primarily, because I want to take care of those that look like me and that are going through many of the same things that I'm going through, as well as anybody else that's struggling to try to lose some much needed weight so that we don't have the adverse effects of all of that as we go through this stage of our lives, or for any of us for that matter. And one of the things that I ran across quite frequently in the comments, as well as some of the research that I've been doing, I have come to find out that obesity has some hidden costs. And they are costs that many of us simply cannot afford to pay. Many of us think of weight as just a weight issue, but let's be serious. It is much more costly than just the burden of having to carry around extra weight. Based on how we feel on the inside determines how we look, how we move, and what happens to us many a times on the outside. It impacts what's in our bank accounts, promotions on our jobs, our relationships with intimate partners and family and friends, and it even many times taps in on a spiritual level, because when we don't feel our best, or if we feel as if we don't look our best, we don't walk in our purpose. We can't do what we need to do in order to live the best possible life that we can. So I wanted to pop back in and have another conversation as we continue to discuss the war on our weight, and why many of the people that are a part of the body positivity movement and the Fat Girls Win movement, why many of those people that at one time celebrated being obese are now using weight loss drugs and doing everything in their power to lose weight. And I'm not just talking celebrities, I'm talking many people. Because the longer we live, the more we realize that that excessive weight has a cost that many of us are not willing to pay. Now, let's start with the first. The first one are the emotional costs of being obese. I don't care how confident you present, I don't care how beautiful you think you are. When we are obese, it takes something away from our emotions. We have to have fake confidence. We have to work really hard to make sure that we look our best, that we smell our best, that we do different things. And sometimes being obese weighs on you so heavily that it tends to start impacting how you feel about yourself emotionally. And no matter what you say to yourself, sometimes what we actually feel and what we're saying are sometimes two different things. And I don't want our emotions to be impacted by something that we can do something about. None of us have to be obese. I know there's a trope going around that I can't lose weight, it's my hormones, I come from a large family. All the myths that we talked about in the previous video. But the truth of the matter is that is not the case. Anybody that wants to lose weight can very simply start with something small, as monitoring what you put in your mouth and how much activity you put forth. That in itself would help you start on a road to losing weight and feeling better and doing better. The next cost is a financial cost, and it definitely costs you more money to be obese. Let's not just talk about how much money we spend on food, but clothes that take up more material, those things cost more. Uh, the amount of money that you make from your job, I don't care what you say, morbidly obese people are looked at as lazy and not being committed to getting things done, or being lackadaisical. And sometimes that can impact your promotion, or benefits for you to get ahead or possibly get a job. If someone doesn't know you and they're simply going off of your appearance, and you appear to be not dedicated to your looks and your size and all of those things, it can take its toll on your pocket. You know, food spending is a big deal. We talked about this in plenty of videos. How much money we have to spend on food these days is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not going to sit here and act like healthy food isn't more expensive than some of the foods that commonly cause us to gain weight. But the cost in the long run, from medical issues to having to buy, bigger and more expensive clothes, to maybe being passed over from an opportunity, those foods will end up costing you more in the long run. So let's just make the investment in ourselves and try to eat as healthy as we possibly can. I know there are food deserts. I know there are places that we simply can't get the foods that are best for us, but we can control how much we eat, when we eat, and what we do after we eat those things. In truth, obesity can drain your wallet just like it can drain you and anything else. Now, this one people don't talk about very often, but obesity can impact you and cost you spiritually. Now, I know that's something that you're like, spiritually, how can it cost me spiritually? If you are obese and not doing what you're supposed to do in the manner in which you're supposed to be doing it, you are not walking in your purpose. If you are not walking in your purpose, you are not doing everything that you possibly can to be the best version of yourself and to assist as many people as possible however you possibly can. If you are constantly worried about whether or not you're going to be out of breath getting someplace, or you're going to have these medical expenses or these medical emergencies that may end up, impacting you to the point where you give up. If you give up, if you're not doing everything that you possibly can to be the best version of yourself, it can impact you spiritually. We all want to walk in our purpose. The other thing associated with that is that God creates a temple. When he gives us this body, he has created it to be a temple, and we should never abuse the temple. First and foremost, you only get one. You don't get another body. Once you abuse this one and use this one up, that's the end of it. You don't get another one. You don't get to be you ever again. Now, for those that believe in reincarnation and coming back and having a second time around, sure, that is a possibility, but you probably won't come back in the same vessel that you had this opportunity to be in. So on the spiritual realm, we want to do everything that we possibly can to protect our temples, to take care of ourselves, and to honor God the way that he honored us by giving us these temples in the first place. There are some true facts about obesity that we need to get a handle on so that we can get the ball rolling to lose the weight. Now, my video on the war on black women's weight, it was a war that I waged, that we as women are waging against ourselves to put forth every effort that's necessary to get this weight off of us. We are no longer glorifying being obese. We are no longer talking about being slim, thicker than a Snicker. We're no longer going to be doing those things. We are going to be working as hard as we possibly can to get this weight off so we look and feel our best. While appearance is important, a person can look at you and know that you possibly need to lose some weight. But the toll that it takes on you, the cost that you end up paying from being morbidly obese, is the cost that I'm most concerned about. Don't let it hit you in the pocket. Don't let it impact your health. Don't let it impact your emotions. Our mental health is something that we have to protect at all costs. Just like you protect your heart, just like you protect your internal organs, just like you need to protect this temple, you have got to protect your mental health. This is a cruel world that we live in, and we don't need to be passed up of any more opportunities than we are already passed up for, just simply because we are who we are. We need to always put our best foot forward. Now, again, obesity is not just about weight. It's about a quality of life. And we want to live our lives to the best quality that's absolutely possible. And the good news about it is we all have a choice. We choose what we put in our mouths. We choose how we talk to ourselves. We choose how much activity we have. We choose to protect our mental health. At the end of the day, being obese is a choice, and we need to make sure that we are making the best possible choices for ourselves. So, when we talk about the cost of obesity, it's not about vanity, it's about value. It's the value of your peace, your money, your confidence, and your purpose. Again, your mental health, your wallet, and your spirituality or your purpose. We got to make sure we are walking in those things. This week, I want each and every person, if you don't mind, to drop me a comment. If you're one of these people that's in this weight loss battle, much like me, I say it all the time, I have lost 70 pounds at least 3 times because I got up over 200 pounds. I'm 5'8". I'm not actually a short person, but my frame is small. And when I'm over 200 pounds, my joints ache, my back aches, I have acid reflux, I don't feel good, I'm lazy. And that's just at slightly over 200 pounds. I think my highest weight is 235 pounds. But when we get up over 250 pounds, 300 pounds, and we are less than 6'2", that is a problem in itself. So let's take some time this week and reflect on one small step that we could take that's going to lower the cost that you would have to pay if you remain obese. I know that I got tons and tons of comments, and there are a lot of people that felt like I was a good person to have this conversation. So I'm here for it. I am here to offer encouragement. I am here to offer stats. I am here to offer all of the information that I possibly can to help each and every one of you get to where you want to be. Even if you hadn't thought about the fact that you need to lose weight, let's start thinking about it. Let's not let it get to a point where it's out of hand and then we got to do something drastic. I have done everything. When I say everything, I have done everything. But the one thing that I didn't do in that process was to get my mind right. I would go on diets, I would take weight loss drugs, I would lose the weight, I would exercise, and then the moment I got to the point where I was either tired of doing those things or I was back up to over 200 pounds, I had to start all over again. So I know what it means to have to get your mind right. I know what it means to be in a predicament where you are sick and tired of being sick and tired. I had every size of clothing in my closet from 10 to 22. And in my purge that I talked to you guys about in some earlier videos, I have gotten rid of all of those clothes because I never intend to be in those double digits that far up again. And I'm encouraging each and every one of you that needs to do something to do the exact same thing. Let's purge. Let's start with getting our mind right. Let's start with getting rid of those things that we go back to in the event that we don't get through what we need to get through. And let's get to where we need to be. So once we have gotten ourselves to a comfortable weight where we feel good and we look good to ourselves, because this is for us, this is not for the male gaze, this is not to try to hook a man, this is not to try to make anybody else more comfortable. This is for us. We are doing this for ourselves so that we can be the best possible version of ourselves. So drop me a comment. Let me know some of the costs that you may have paid to be obese and that you're no longer willing to pay going forward. And we're going to keep this ball rolling. We're going to do everything we can to get this weight off of us and do what we need to do. So until the next time, the Seasoned Lady is signing out. Thank you guys so much for all the love on the previous video. Just know that I'm here to help. I'm not here to make excuses. I'm not here to shame anybody. I'm not here to do anything like that. I am here to help. I'm here to talk. I'm here for you to listen. And anything that I can do in the meantime, in between time, just leave me a message in the comments and I will get right on it. Till next time, toodles.